I am concerned about the debt. That's a legitimate concern. Every American should be concerned about it. That's not something we should be leaving to our kids and our grandchildren. I think you're talking to the wrong guy. We pay for what we are proposing, unlike the President of the United States.
Socialist Bernie Sanders worried about adding to the national debt despite pushing his own pricey policies. But is it possible to rein in debt while dramatically expanding federal spending?
Here to weigh in on this is former chief economist for the U.S. International Trade Commission, Peter Morici. Peter, thanks for coming back to the show. Give him credit for talking about the debt and saying that it is a problem, but I think the reality here is that to implement what Bernie wants to do, there's no way that this is just going to be a tax increase for the wealthy, right? It's going to have to be a lot more than that.
Absolutely. Medicare for all by itself would cost $3 trillion, according to both liberal and conservative think tanks. The federal government only takes in $3.5 trillion in taxes. So we're basically talking about doubling the income tax. Or forcing people to pay premiums the way middle class and upper income people do on Medicare now. Bottom line, for example, if you're a line worker at General Motors stockholders get a big windfall. They're not paying for health care anymore. But instead, the line workers will have taken out of their salary $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a month to pay for health care. That's absurd. You know, one of the things that Bernie doesn't tell you is that in, say, a place like Holland or Holland, for example, people pay, much higher taxes. Middle-class people, school teachers will pay half their income in taxes, unlike here. And you
same with Sweden, Norway, Denmark. Yeah, I mean, if you make over 75 grand a year in a lot of those countries, you pay 50% in taxes. Absolutely.
Yep. Even less than that, you pay very, very high taxes. So essentially, this is what socialism always does to people. It empowers the capitalists because they remain in charge of their enterprises, and it abuses the workers. It's basically a terrible hoax on working Americans to think you can pay for Medicare, for medicine, and for education and so many other things for free. Someone's got to pay for it in the end, and in the end, it's going to be them.
Well, right, and that was the point of the town hall the other night with Brett and Martha. They're like, look, healthcare is not free. It is coming from somewhere. So that's what people need to understand, because you hear over and over again, oh, free this, oh, free that, but nothing is free.
The thing is, the American population has become so radicalized by the left-wing media. They so much think that Donald Trump's a crook that they won't even acknowledge, or they don't even understand that their taxes have been cut. Every week they get more money in their pay envelope than they did in 2018, but they think their taxes went up. How did that happen? The point is that we have is a terrible propaganda campaign, and what you saw at the town hall was good old-fashioned demagoguery. That's all it was. This was the Pied Piper. It was absolutely absurd what was going on. Bernie Sanders is too smart not to recognize the fiscal burdens that he would be imposing on the American tax system and on the budget to make the claims he did. If he's going to pay for Medicare through taxing the wealthy, then that April, after it goes into effect, look for me to be 26 years old and playing shortstop for the New York Yankees on opening day. Those two things have equal probability of happening.
Okay, fair enough. Let's get to a second topic here. We talk about this all the time, these high-tax blue states where everybody kind of got a rough deal on the Trump tax cuts with the SALT deduction. Are these higher tax states where the taxes are very high in New York, California, are they better off or worse off than those low-tax red states?
It's a tropism in California, Illinois, and New York to vote for Democrats. But yet, I don't understand this. All the people that live in those places want to leave. More than half of Californians in 2 independent polls have indicated they want to live someplace else. Illinois' population has been declining even before the state and local tax deductions were taken away. Illinois' population has been declining for 5 years in a row. In New York, people are fleeing. Governor Cuomo is complaining about it. Even Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's mother is moving to Florida to get away from the taxes. She can't handle what her daughter wants to do to her. Now, when daughters start attacking their mothers to that point, what does that tell you about socialism? But also, what's frightening here is she got elected. And there's no indication that she's not going to be reelected. And it goes to show you just how easily socialists, with their promises, can fool ordinary voters. And that's why Europe is in the mess that it's in. You know, France can't create jobs for its young people.
Yeah.
Especially the younger generation. They're
Italy
listening
too,
right
big
now.
problems. Yeah, absolutely.
You have huge
Peter, thank
youth
you.
unemployment in Europe because of this.
Peter, thanks so
Appreciate
much.
it.
We appreciate it.
So